I did my 12th.
Yeah.
I was a very decent student कि मैं जितना पढ़ता था मेरे को उससे ज्यादा नंबर मिलते थे.
हाँ.
ठीक है, तो मैंने decent पढ़ा, मेरे कुछ 95% टाइप बोर्ड्स में आ गए.
कुछ 95% टाइप सिंग जैसे कितना कम हो.
I took admission in a DU college. मैं कॉलेज गया हूँ, मैं देख रहा हूँ कि सब लोग आ रहे हैं, बच्चे आ रहे हैं, अच्छे मार्क्स लेकर आ गए. कॉलेज में कुछ नहीं हो रहा. DU के कॉलेजेस में जीरो पढ़ाई, ठीक है, बस हैंग आउट करने जाते थे लोग. यू नेवर नो अपॉर्चुनिटी कहाँ से स्ट्राइक होती. मेरा जो CV फॉरवर्ड हुआ होगा PwC में, वो मुझे भी नहीं पता कि वो कहाँ से गया होगा.
You don't know that.
आपको पता नहीं होता कि कौन सा सोर्स, कौन सा तुक्का कहाँ बिक है. टू गेट रिजेक्टेड इन एन इंटरव्यू इज ऑल्सो अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फीलिंग दैट यू मस्ट फील. इट इज अ रियलिटी चेक दैट मे बी यू आर लैकिंग इन योर कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स. मतलब आपने सब कुछ कर लिया अच्छे से, लेकिन अगर आपका एटीट्यूड ही अच्छा नहीं लग रहा तो maybe you're not the right one. I used to love reading. तो मैंने उस टाइम पर Shoe Dog पढ़ी.
The Nike.
Yeah, the Nike story.
Yeah.
Phil Knight was also a accountant.
Right.
Who was working in PwC.
Right.
He launched a shoe brand. Similarly, मैंने कहा यार मैं तो कुछ नहीं कर रहा है. ठीक है, कुछ कर सकते हैं, ऐसा भी होता है. I had a chance to travel to 6 countries in the last 2 years. There is no country which offers such good customer satisfaction, such good customer service like India. Talk about hospitality, talk about grocery delivery. Zomato, Swiggy, Zepto.
Blinkit, Zepto are doing.
Zepto
Yeah.
Doing in India, it's unparalleled and efficiency is peak in India.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Dhairya Decodes Podcast. In today's episode, we are going to be joined with a very interesting personality, someone who is a CA turned entrepreneur. He was very recently seen on Shark Tank on national television, on your TV screens as well. We are going to be joined by the founder of WiseLife, Prateek Kedia. He is a chartered accountant turned entrepreneur, and WiseLife is a one-stop solution for all things when it comes to premium wellness, health, and lifestyle offerings. They believe in obviously building and curating products that are innovative and sustainable to make your yoga practice more artful, as they say. And he's also somebody who is a yogi himself and very passionate about health and wellness. In today's episode, we're going to be decoding his career trajectory and understanding a lot more about the early career choices that he made, how he ventured into the world of entrepreneurship, being a CA, to also understanding how he built WiseLife, their feature on Shark Tank, and then bagging an all-shark deal, and a lot more. So without any further ado, let me welcome Prateek to the Dhairya Decodes podcast.
Thank you, Dhairya, so much. It's such a pleasure finally being in a conversation with you.
Yeah, I know we have been discussing this for a while. I'm so glad we are doing it now.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think, Prateek, I mean, like I did obviously mention, you are somebody who has not obviously, let's say, come from a background wherein you always probably knew you will venture into entrepreneurship. We'll figure that out along the way. But I think what's always interesting to me is that when somebody goes through an entire journey of going through a rigorous examination such as a CA, which requires so much of dedication, effort, and then you still have the courage to do something different, those stories are always very interesting to uncover. But I think I want to start with knowing a little bit about your childhood. And more than just childhood, I want to understand what kind of a family background do you come from? And what influence did it have on your thought process regarding just how the world operates or early career options available in front of you? Because I think majorly we pick on to what we see happening around us in, while we are growing up. Like, I was always, made to believe that becoming a doctor, being an engineer, a lawyer, or at max, doing something of your own were the only options in life to go ahead with, right? So tell me a little bit about what did your childhood and upbringing really look like?
Looks like ये काफी deep होने वाला है.
Yes,
podcast.
yes.
So coming to my childhood, I was born and brought up in a city called Hisar.
Okay.
It's a tier 2 city, and I come from a very humble background, very modest background. So my dad was the first one who actually got a formal education in his entire family.
Okay.
Right, and all of his brothers, my grandfather, and all of them were sort of engaged in some kind of small businesses.
Okay.
So my dad was the first person who got a chance to come to Delhi. He also completed his CA.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and then he went back to Hisar. He started working for a company there, and we did not have any resources at that point of time. So my dad was like had all his responsibilities and sort of no financial support from his dad.
Got it.
So he built his career, he built his life from scratch, and that is something which I've always admired. So I'll give you some examples. Like I have seen my dad rising from a job to moonlighting, to leaving his job and starting his practice, to some investing, then also starting multiple businesses.
Okay.
So, and along this trajectory, he has also like moved from living in a rented one room to a rented house, to buying a small house, to buying a bigger house, to a scooter, to a car, to a better car. Right. So, like that has always stayed with me.
Right.
I have seen him progressing. That has, inspired me a lot.
Right.
And that is deep rooted in my genes. That is what I feel. Also, like my mom has always been a housemaker. Has always kept us down to earth. She's such an amazing person. She's somebody who will teach you the right things. She will tell you कि नहीं यार ऐसे नहीं करना. This is the right way to do. So all of those things has stayed with me.
Right.
And it has shaped my childhood and my adulthood a lot.
Very interesting. And I think like while you were sharing this, the best part was how you described that you've actually seen your father go from probably zero or scratch to having nothing to actually building what he's been able to build on his own grounds, right? And I think that for sure gives you, if not a sense of motivation, gives you a perspective on what it really takes to go from A to B, right? But what I want to understand is your father obviously started as CA, now he has his own practice. You also went on to, become a CA. Was this something that was always a very conscious choice that you always knew I would also want to, let's say, write the examination, or was it something that just happened gradually?
Like every kid, I've also dreamed a lot about becoming different things.
Yeah.
At some point of time, it was being a pilot. At some point
even I wanted to be a pilot once. Okay.
Everybody wanted to be.
Yeah, I think everybody did.
Yeah. At some point of time, it was, being a big philanthropist like Tata's, and but as soon as you hit 11th standard, things start getting real.
True.
I've seen with a lot of cousins, with a lot of children, that they hit 11th and their dynamics change. Everything starts turning very real. So they come to reality now. They start seeing कि यार अब कैसे होगा, मतलब इससे पहले ड्रीम होता है और 11th के बाद वो उनको ट्रेजेक्टरी दिखने लग जाती है कि कैसे पहुंचेंगे. So when I hit 11th, being a CA was always an option for me.
Yeah.
And my dad had a good practice. I always wanted to make him proud, and I always wanted to take his practice to national level, to the next level. So I just connected the dots, and being a CA was a very safe choice at that point of time. I was good in accounts, I was good in maths. So I think that's how
it panned out.
Went there, yeah.
Got it. But at that point of time, when you were seeing your dad obviously work, and then obviously you were interested and you wanted to contribute to what he was doing, did you ever have a thought of doing something of your own at that particular point of time?
Yeah, it was always there. So as I told, like, it was a very calculated decision for me.
Right.
Calculated how, first of all, अगर मैं CA करता हूँ, मेरे पास मेरे डैड की प्रैक्टिस है, उसको मैं कभी भी ज्वाइन करके उसको
स्केल कर
1 0 to 10 हो चुका है, मुझे 10 से 100 लेके जाना है. That was one. Second was the curriculum of CA is directly helpful for a businessman.
Agreed.
Right. So accounts है आपका, taxes है, SFM है, financial management है, costing है, तो सारा करिकुलम बिजनेस में डायरेक्टली हेल्प होता है. सो आई न्यू कि एट सम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम बिजनेस तो करना ही है. अगर मैं सीए भी हूँ, अगर मैं प्रैक्टिस भी कर रहा हूँ, तो भी मैं कुछ ना कुछ बिजनेस करूंगा. सो इट वाज ऑलवेज देयर.
Got it. Very interesting. I think that while you were also sharing this, I saw a lot of clarity with respect to what you wanted to do. And obviously that is circumstantial because everybody's circumstances are different. But I think since this is a career podcast, I also want to know, most of the folks, at least when they speak to me or in general, I think two major decisions, like everybody says in your life, are choosing your career path and a life partner, right? And when you're choosing a career path and a life partner, in both of the cases, I think it's now, earlier I think it was maybe lack of choices. Right now there are so many choices career-wise that people are confused because people think that I'm good at A, B and C. So which one do I pick, right? So what I want to understand is, did you never feel the need to explore something else other than CA just as a backup, to know that if not, for whatever reason, let's say I may be capable enough of clearing the examination, but what if I don't enjoy the practice for whatever reason, or putting my skills to test? I should do something else. Why I'm asking you this question is, mostly 90%, in fact 95% of the people that I speak with, there's no certainty or surety that this is what we want to do, which is okay. But then how do you get any level of clarity that this would be the right thing for you?
See, while I agree that there are a lot of career options which have opened up in the last
Right.
decade or last 4-5 years, but when we were in 11th, there were very few options for us. It was either commerce,
Yeah.
science और arts. कॉमर्स के अंदर भी 3 चीजें होती थी, आप सीए कर लो, आप लॉयर बन जाओ, या आप एमबीए कर लो.
करेक्ट.
ठीक है. साइंस के अंदर भी ऐसा ही होता था कि आपको बनना इंजीनियर ही है, अब आप अपनी फील्ड डिसाइड कर लो. आर्ट्स को एक बार ही साइड रख देते हैं.
हाँ.
तो व्हेन I knew that I had to take commerce only because I was not very good at physics.
Okay.
Now when I took commerce के अंदर again यही था मेरे लिए, घुमा फिरा के सीए ही बचता था.
Correct.
So that was a decision. Yeah.
But I think I also want to understand that when you were looking at that entire scenario of, obviously you took the path of following the CA and the footsteps of your father. When you were preparing for the examination per se, because mostly people talk a lot about those years that people spend when preparing for the CA examination, and then obviously
that's a battle.
Yeah, it's a battle, and then the 3 years of articleship, and then everything else that you guys go through. Was it tough for you in general, like the preparation process?
See, there are no two ways about it. CA is very tough. Okay, it's a battle. It's a long journey. It's 5 years of discipline that you have to go through. Every student has to go through that 5 years of pure dedication, discipline, studying.
I don't think there's any shortcut to it.
Yeah, there's no shortcut at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
Okay. Abhi, for me, I'll tell you my like how things happened for me. I did my 12th.
Yeah.
I was a very decent student. कि मैं जितना पढ़ता था मेरे को उससे ज्यादा नंबर मिलते थे.
हाँ.
ठीक है. तो मैंने decent पढ़ा. मेरे कुछ 95% टाइप बोर्ड्स में आ गए.
कुछ 95% टाइप से सिंग जैसे कितना कम हो.
95% from
is
my
very
perspective
good.
was very less because
what are you saying?
My group was 96, 97. Even like my best friend got a 97.5 percentage. तो मतलब मेरे को अपने तो कम लग रहे थे, बट मैं खुश था अपने नंबर से क्योंकि मेरी तैयारी 92 की थी.
अच्छा.
ठीक है.
Got it.
I took admission in a DU college called DCC, which was a good reputed college. Now I went to college. I was preparing for CA simultaneously. मैं कॉलेज गया हूँ, मैं देख रहा हूँ कि सब लोग आ रहे हैं, बच्चे आ रहे हैं, अच्छे मार्क्स लेकर आ गए. कॉलेज में कुछ नहीं हो रहा. DU के कॉलेजेस में 0 पढ़ाई. ठीक है. बस हैंग आउट करने जाते थे लोग. एंड इट वाज सो अनसेटलिंग. आज भी वही है. ठीक है. इट वाज सो अनसेटलिंग फॉर मी कि मैं रोज कॉलेज जा रहा हूँ 1 घंटा ट्रैवल करके. एंड मैं जाता हूँ, मैं थोड़ा सा घूम फिर के कैंटीन में कुछ खा के और वापस घर आ जाता हूँ. 0 वैल्यू एड. और मेरे को इतना कोई शौक था नहीं फर्स्ट ईयर में कि मैं लोगों से बात करूँ, दोस्त बनाऊँ. दोस्त बनाने थोड़ी आए हैं यार. मैं हिसार से दिल्ली मूव हुआ हूँ, स्पेशली कॉलेज आया हूँ. आई हैव माई ड्रीम्स. आई हैव टू मेक अ करियर. आई हैव टू स्टडी. आई हैव टू लर्न. एंड लर्निंग के नाम पे मेरे को DU कुछ नहीं दे रहा था. Today scenario has changed a bit because these students are actually interning somewhere or the other. They are preparing for CAT. They are doing courses. So a lot of these things have opened up. Back in 2014, ये इतना prevalent नहीं था. Intern culture and courses culture was not so prevalent.
Correct.
So yeah. So coming back to I joined my college and मैंने देखा कि यार कुछ यहाँ पर तो value add नहीं हो रहा. तो I started preparing for my CA classes. IPCC मैंने अपना start किया.
Right.
I took about 1.5 year in college where I used to go to college very less. Like हफ्ते में 1-2 बार कॉलेज आता था और बाकी टाइम पे अपना CA की पढ़ाई करके और फिर मैंने CA के एग्जाम दे दिया. IPCC मेरा क्लियर हो गया.
Oh, nice.
Now I had 1 year easily left for college just to enjoy. But meanwhile I gave my interviews for your articleship and मुझे PwC से somehow offer आ गया.
अच्छा.
ठीक है. अब मैंने कहा यार
This was all without the help of the college.
हाँ, without the help.
आपने खुद ही. How did you apply for the interview?
Everywhere. Like I went to LinkedIn. I went to my friends, to my seniors. मैंने सबको बोला कि भाई ये मेरा CV है. जहाँ फॉरवर्ड कर सकते हो प्लीज करो. ये मेरी जेनरिक लाइन होती है.
This goes on to show कि everybody who comes up to me and says this today also कि job नहीं मिल रही है, opportunities नहीं है, internship नहीं है. This was a couple of years back at least, right? I think people don't go out there and knock every door.
Yeah.
Number one, because putting in that much effort is something that people don't do.
Yeah.
And you also did not, it was not like a career service, I think support, or let's say a placement cell helped you. You did this all by yourself via cold outreach or whatever, right? LinkedIn. And then I think, again, like I said, it's so funny to see that if you are actually good enough and you have the right skill set, and if you try whatever is in your hand, it's most likely, if not today, but tomorrow, maybe after 50 rejections, you will get through somewhere, right? Was there a time where you felt that when you were, like you said, आपने बोल दिया था लोगों को कि resume या CV जहाँ भेजना है भेज दो, but जब rejections, I'm not sure if you immediately got the offer, but did you ever feel like you're probably not doing it right because offers were not coming in or it was taking time, or how was that job search process at that time?
See, first of all, lot of people put a barrier inside their head.
Yeah.
कि maybe I'm not good enough.
Good enough.
और maybe ये वाला जो सोर्स है ये चलेगा नहीं. ठीक है. You never know opportunity कहाँ से स्ट्राइक हो जाती है. ठीक है. मतलब मेरा जो CV फॉरवर्ड हुआ होगा PwC में, वो मुझे भी नहीं पता कि वो कहाँ से गया होगा.
You don't know that.
Yeah. मतलब it must be the, because मैंने 10 जगह से करवाया था, तो मुझे पता नहीं कि वो इवेंचुअली कौन सा स्ट्राइक हुआ. हाँ. बट द पॉइंट इज कि आपको पता नहीं होता कि कौन सा सोर्स, कौन सा तुक्का कहाँ बिठ जाए.
करेक्ट.
ठीक है. सो दैट इज वन. एंड सेकेंडली, आई वाज वन ऑफ द फॉर्चुनेट वंस दैट आई गॉट सिलेक्टेड इन माय फर्स्ट इंटरव्यू ओनली. ठीक है. ये मेरी लाइफ का पहला इंटरव्यू था. आई वाज वेरी वेरी स्कैर्ड. ठीक है. आई वाज वेरी नर्वस, आई वाज वेरी स्कैर्ड, बट समहाउ मतलब हो गया. एंड आई हैव gotten rejected also, but that was later.
Got it.
So that was later when I had faced those rejections also. And to get rejected in an interview is also a very very important feeling that you must feel.
Yeah.
That is what I feel.
Yeah.
Because it pushes you. ठीक है. It is a reality check that maybe you are lacking in your communication skills. मतलब आपने सब कुछ कर लिया अच्छे से.
Right.
आप अच्छे से पढ़ के चले गए, आपने सारे जवाब दे दिए, लेकिन अगर आपका एटीट्यूड ही अच्छा नहीं लग रहा एम्प्लॉयर को, तो मे बी यू आर नॉट द राइट वन. एंड एक बारी को मैं उसको एक्सक्यूज कर देता हूँ कि आपके एम्प्लॉयर को आपका ट्रू साइड नहीं दिखा इन द फर्स्ट मीटिंग.
ठीक है.
बट कल को आप क्लाइंट्स के साथ भी मिलोगे, वो भी फर्स्ट मीटिंग होगी. सो पुटिंग अप दैट राइट attitude and that right persona in the first meeting is a very important skill that every person, at least in consultancy, has to learn.
True. I agree. And being like a consultant myself, because I used to work with KPMG, and my first job was also as a technology consultant in their consulting department. I think, like you said, what I've realized is more than everything else, because our roles are client facing and on the forefront, right? It is so important to have the right attitude and just a general demeanor and personality, because I don't know how to articulate it, but when you're interacting with a client and explaining to them whatever problem issue it is that you are solving, or your perspective or your findings, the way you present it and articulate it makes all the difference. And the energy and the knowledge also, understanding with which you say things, because everything else we know how we are just getting it done. It is jugaad at the end of the day, but I feel
it's just about selling the idea. In that PPT.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. And I think PPT, Excel and Word is like, in a nutshell, what our world revolves around mostly. But I think moving on from that, I want to know a little bit about PwC happened, like you mentioned, and you got through. It was your first interview. How was the experience at working at a Big Four? Your first job in a Big Four. And what did the first few years look like? What were some challenges maybe that you faced? Was it like a new, I'm sure it would have been a very exciting experience, but at the same time it gets overwhelming. First jobs are not always easy because you're transitioning from this cocoon you've been in and then you're pushed into the real world, right? So how was that transition for you?
Yeah, I had left my college and I had joined PwC. I was just 19 years old.
19?
I was just 19.
Oh my God. Okay. So that means 19 is very young, but for okay.
So you join your college at 18 only, ना?
हाँ, right.
एक साल बाद तो मैंने छोड़.
मैं तो second year में थी engineering के, when I was 19. I'm like, you were in PwC at that time.
Exactly. So second year में college छोड़ा और PwC join करा, which is like worldwide number one firm, so to speak, for accounting and business.
Yeah, right.
And if you have seen like साइबर हब इन गुड़गांव,
Yeah.
ठीक है, साइबर इज द टॉप लोकेशन।
Yeah.
आपका ऑफिस साइबर आपके 18th फ्लोर पर है, ठीक है, आप जा रहे हो एंड फॉर्मल्स पहन के अपना फॉर्मल लैपटॉप एंड बैग लेकर, दैट वाज अ ग्रेट एक्सपीरियंस।
वो भी 19 साल की उम्र में, आई कैन
19 साल
इमेजिन।
का था मैं, लाइक द फर्स्ट वीक आल्सो व्हेन आई जॉइंड पीडब्ल्यूसी, दैट इज वेयर आई थॉट कि आई बिलोंग हियर, at least at this point of time.
Yeah, this is
College is not the place for me to, go and hang around with friends.
got it.
PwC आके मुझे लगा कि भाई यहाँ पर कुछ बढ़िया होने वाला है, यहाँ पर कुछ क्रेजी लर्निंग होने वाली है, तो that was amazing.
Right.
ठीक है, and even in the first year, I was working for the biggest of the clients. Like I got to work for Indigo, I got to work for Microsoft.
Amazing.
I had worked for a brief time for Apple.
Okay.
ठीक है, so इतने बड़े क्लाइंट्स के ऑफिसेज में आप जा रहे हो, उनके टॉप मैनेजर्स के साथ आप बात कर रहे हो,
Right.
उनको गंदी मेल्स लिख रहे हो कि भाई डेटा दो, ठीक है, दे आर explaining everything to you because
Yeah.
you are an auditor.
Obviously.
Okay, so that was very surreal. That was
You were working as an auditor.
I was working as an auditor,
Okay.
as an internal auditor and a consultant.
Right.
First year.
Right.
Okay, and like that was a place to be. But things kept on changing every year. The experience kept on changing every year.
Yeah.
Till the point that I decided कि अगर मुझे कुछ लाइफ में बड़ा करना है, ठीक है, तो यहाँ कॉर्पोरेट में रह के नहीं हो सकता. And that is when 4.5 years later I left PwC and started my own thing.
Right. Very interesting. And like you said that in the first year itself, you got a chance and an opportunity to work with such big clients, right? They're giants in their own niches. I think I also had a similar experience, and I think what that does to you is it gives you a very early perspective on what it takes to, number one, be able to be in such rooms and talk to such people. To hold up a conversation in itself is very important. And it also gives you that early leverage of being, in a position to be around the top management, the CXOs, CFOs, and again, understanding their business and how it works as well. Different industries, different
That is
businesses.
the most important thing.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
ये companies करती क्या है कि ये इतनी बड़ी बन गई?
Exactly.
How are they affording such good offices?
Yeah.
Employing
Thousands of people.
मतलब PwC in itself had 2 lakh employees.
Yeah. That's crazy, I think. But you also mentioned that obviously every year the experience changes, and that's how it is, I think, anywhere that you work, because you evolve as a person, your work evolves, your experiences evolve.
Understand yourself better every year also.
True.
Because जो 18 से 22 साल होते हैं ना,
हाँ,
मेरे हिसाब से वो complete years of exposure होते हैं.
correct.
ठीक है, so उस टाइम पर आपको कोई rigid firm decision नहीं लेना चाहिए regarding your career, but you have to be very receptive of whatever is going around.
Yeah.
And you have to gain as much exposure, as much perspective as you can.
True, I agree. So also tell me, Prateek, that in that period, let's say when your first year kind of came to an end at PwC, I want to understand, what do you think were the major skill sets that you understood were needed to excel in this career and in this job, at least as an auditor working at one of the world's best taxation accounting firms, so to say. What did you realize? Let's say if I ask you the top 3 most important skills you realize are needed to excel and have a great trajectory, at least in this firm.
From a fresher's perspective, I think there are the three skills that are required in the first year. Number 1 is willingness. You have to be very willing to do anything.
Right.
Okay, आपको नहीं आता, of course आपको नहीं आता, जो भी मिलेगा आपको नहीं आता.
Correct.
तो you have to be very willing to learn that whatever job needs to be done. Second is discipline. ठीक है, so you have to show up every day. So our days in PwC were very hectic. ठीक है, आपको सुबह 9:30 बजे ऑफिस के अंदर होना है. ठीक है, आपको शाम को नहीं पता आप किस टाइम घर जाओगे, एंड उसके बाद आपको शाम को घर
इन टाइम आउट टाइम कुछ नहीं होता.
कुछ नहीं होता. ऐसा शुरू में इंडक्शन में बोला जाता है कि आपको कॉम्पेंसेटरी ऑफ्स मिलेंगे बिकॉज़ यू वर्क एक्स्ट्रा आवर्स, बट आपको कुछ नहीं मिलता.
ट्रू.
ठीक है, एंड घर जाके आपको मतलब थोड़ा सोशलाइज भी करना है, रिलैक्स भी करना है. ठीक है, मे बी आपको जिमिंग का शौक है, बैडमिंटन का शौक है, आपको वो चीजें भी करनी है.
अपने पर्सनल ऑब्वियसली इंटरेस्ट को भी तो परस्यू करना होता है.
उसके बाद फिर आपको पढ़ाई करनी है सीए के लिए, क्योंकि आपके 2.5 साल बाद एग्जाम है.
राइट.
ठीक है, तो मतलब वो 2.5 साल जो थे, मुझे नहीं पता कि वो कैसे गए. मतलब आई हैव no memory of me, properly relaxing or having a day off.
I get
it was just constant
hustle.
So that is what I'm saying. Discipline is very important.
Okay.
So you have to show up to office every day, and you have to give your best there. ठीक है. And third is to develop skills. ठीक है. तो वहाँ पे जैसे हम सब हर किसी का अलग skill होगा, whatever department you are working in. For me, first year was mostly about internal audit and risk assurance services.
Okay.
तो हमारा काम क्या होता था? इंडिगो मेरा फर्स्ट क्लाइंट था.
Right.
हम इंडिगो के ऑफिस में जाते थे.
हाँ.
हम इंडिगो के कॉन्फ्रेंस रूम में बैठते थे हर रोज. हम लोग इंडिगो के लोगों को बुलाते थे, अलग अलग डिपार्टमेंट्स को, और उनको बुला के पूछते थे आपका पूरा प्रोसेस बताओ.
अच्छा.
ठीक है. कि अगर परचेज का मैं ऑडिट कर रहा हूँ, इंटरनल ऑडिट कर रहा हूँ,
हाँ.
परचेज में परचेज रिक्विजिशन कौन फाइल करता है, उसको अप्रूव कौन करता है, फिर कहाँ से उसका कोटेशंस बनवाई जाती है, कोटेशन का एनालिसिस कैसे होता है, फिर कैसे डिसाइड करते हो कि ये वाला हमें एयरक्राफ्ट का कोई पार्ट किससे खरीदना है,
वेंडर कैसे चूज करते हो.
हाँ. तो हम उसमें गैप्स ढूंढ के और उनको सेविंग लाके देते थे. सो मुझे फर्स्ट ईयर में बड़ी कंपनीज के प्रोसेसेस समझ आ गए थे. ठीक है. कि कैसे वो प्रोसेसेस कैसी रन करती हैं.
राइट.
व्हाट इज द हायरार्की, उसको एसओडी मैट्रिक्स बोलते हैं, सेग्रीगेशन ऑफ ड्यूटीज होता है.
या
तो ऑल ऑफ दोस थिंग्स हेल्प्ड मी अ लॉट, एंड टिल डेट ऑल ऑफ दोस प्रोसेसेस आर विद मी. आई ट्राई टू इम्प्लीमेंट इट
इन योर कंपनी. या
सो वी फॉर एवरी स्मॉलेस्ट ऑफ द थिंग, हमारी कंपनी के अंदर प्रोसेसेस हैं जो मैंने खुद लिख के बनाए हुए हैं, एंड नाउ द पीपल इंश्योर कि वो फॉलो हो रहे. राइट. सो दैट वाज अ स्किल दैट आई लर्नड इन द फर्स्ट ईयर. ठीक है. फिर सेकंड ईयर में आपको बेटर और चीजें लर्न करनी होती हैं. ठीक है. सेकंड ईयर में आपको अपना टाइम को कैसे वैल्यू कर सकते हो. यू नीड टू लर्न हाउ टू टॉक टू द क्लाइंट, हाउ टू गेट द क्लाइंट टू गिव यू द राइट इन्फॉर्मेशन एंड डेटा.
करेक्ट.
ठीक है. एंड थर्ड ईयर में आपके नीचे इंटर्न्स आ जाते हैं.
Yeah, then there's a team that you're working with.
So वहाँ पर आपको मैनेज करना थोड़ा सीखना पड़ता है.
Right.
And some kind of politics also start happening जो आपको first second year में नहीं दिखती. Because you are just a sort of a labor.
Yeah.
इसको काम दो.
You're a cog in the wheel. कुछ नहीं, मतलब you're a drop in the ocean. At that time आपको पता ही नहीं है क्या चल रहा है.
First year में तो मतलब I was clueless because in a company which is employing 2 lakh
employees,
there are so many softwares to be understood.
True.
एक्सपेंस कैसे क्लेम करना है,
हाँ.
मेल्स का क्या फॉर्मेट होता है, किस तरीके से भेजनी है,
हायरार्की क्या है,
फर्क क्या होता है दोनों में, कोई नहीं पता होता.
I know. True.
So amazing.
So also tell me one thing, Prateek. Very interesting to obviously know that you had a holistic experience working there and you got an early exposure to so many great companies and understanding their processes, and you're putting to use that in your company as well, putting to use all of those skills in your company. But I want to also know that when it came to the part where the challenges start coming in, right? Because it's not always rosy. There are tough clients, there are days wherein their requests also at times are unreasonable, there may be arguments, there's conflict. What do you think were the major challenges, or when did you start feeling, like people say, now I'm comfortable in my job? After a period of time, you just get very accustomed to that daily routine, mundane pattern, and ये हो रहा है, in, out, बस चलता रहता है. So, was there a point where you started feeling now this is getting either just too easy for me, or now it's getting challenging, and how did you overcome that phase?
See, everybody has a different experiences.
Yeah.
And the point, the inflection point you're talking about, where when the job starts getting mundane and monotonous, that is where I left the firm.
So it took you 4.5 years.
Yeah, so I'll explain you. Mostly क्या होता है, कोई भी CA आर्टिकल ज्वाइन करता है एक कंपनी, उसको एक डिपार्टमेंट में रखा जाता है.
करेक्ट.
ठीक है. वेदर इट इज इंटरनल ऑडिट, स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट, डायरेक्ट टैक्सेस, इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस, M&A, इस तरीके से होता है.
ठीक है.
I was one of the very fortunate ones who got to work in 4 different departments.
अच्छा.
Yeah. So first year में इंटरनल में था, जिसको हम रैस बोलते थे उस टाइम पे. सेकंड ईयर में स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट में था. ठीक है. सेकंड ईयर के एंड पे मैं थोड़े
ये शिफ्ट्स कंपनी ने खुद किए थे या आपने चूज किया था?
आई पुट इन अ लॉट ऑफ एफर्ट टू गेट ट्रांसफर्ड टू डिफरेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स. ठीक है. एंड बाद में फिर मैंने जीएसटी ज्वाइन करा था, व्हिच वाज अ न्यू थिंग एट दैट टाइम. So I joined indirect taxes. I learned a great deal there. And after working there for another 1 year in indirect taxes, there was a point when I realized कि अब मैं कंपनी को नहीं यूज कर रहा हूँ, कंपनी मेरे को यूज कर रही है. ठीक है. एंड बहुत वहां पर थोड़ा सा कल्चर हार्ड था कि मतलब टाइमलाइंस वर वेरी स्ट्रेट एंड यू वर गिवन अ लॉट ऑफ ड्यूटीज to do on your own.
Yeah.
And वहाँ पर गलतियां भी बहुत ज्यादा अगर हो जाती है, अगर कुछ भी गलती हो जाती है तो काफी हेवी रेपरकशंस होते थे.
I'm sure.
तो एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम मैंने कहा कि यार इतना प्रेशर अब नहीं लेना मुझे. अगर मुझे इतना प्रेशर लेना है तो मुझे उसका उतना रिवॉर्ड चाहिए.
Correct.
उतना रिवॉर्ड नहीं था.
हाँ.
So that is when it was peak COVID.
Right.
I think July 2020. And very interesting story. I used to love reading.
Okay.
ठीक है? Whenever I get time और मुझे कोई अच्छी किताब मिल जाती थी तो मैं उसको जल्दी जल्दी पढ़ लेता था. तो मैंने उस टाइम पर शू डॉग पढ़ी थी. ठीक है, शू डॉग, Phil Knight's story.
The Nike.
Yeah, the Nike story.
Yeah.
And I related so much to this guy. I got so inspired. I'll tell you how.
Yeah.
Phil Knight was also a accountant.
Right.
Who was working in PwC.
Correct.
Okay, USA. I was an accountant working in PwC.
India. Yeah.
He started moonlighting and
Right.
he launched a shoe brand.
Correct.
ठीक है. And similarly मैंने कहा यार मैं तो कुछ नहीं कर रहा है. ठीक है, कुछ कर सकते हैं, ऐसा भी होता है. He launched Nike. He worked with that firm and started operating his business. I don't know for 3 to 5 years उसने करा.
ये मुझे नहीं पता, but हाँ, okay.
And then eventually he left his job
Okay.
and made Nike what it is today.
Right.
So that inspired me like anything. ठीक है. और I think that was the inflection point for me where I decided कि यार अब कुछ खुद का करते हैं. I think knowledge हमने बहुत ले ली है. हमने कंपनी के प्रोसेसेस सीख लिए हैं. हमने कंपनी के अकाउंटिंग सीख ली है. हमने टैक्सेस कैसे मैनेज होते हैं, वो लोगों को कैसे मैनेज करना होता है, थोड़ा थोड़ा आइडिया सब चीजों का लग गया है.
Correct.
सो दिस इज अ टाइम दैट अब खुद का कुछ कर लेते हैं, वरना इट विल बी टू लेट. क्योंकि अब आगे प्रमोशन होते जाएंगे.
You were almost in your 4th year का completion by that time.
My CA was completed.
हाँ.
And after CA I had done my job for another 6 to 8 months.
So मतलब how long had you been working at PwC at this point when you realized? 4.5 in total.
3 साल आर्टिकलशिप था.
Articleship था.
और उसके बाद 1-1.5 साल हाँ मैंने काम किया.
And at that point you realized that now is a good time to probably quit.
Because after this the salary will also sort of increase to a point
where it will become very difficult for you to
forego that.
Yeah.
To take a risk.
Yeah.
ठीक है. तो I took a very calculated decision. ठीक है.
Right.
Decision ऐसे लिया था कि जॉब छोड़ते हैं.
हाँ.
आई एम अ पर्सन हु लाइक सॉर्ट ऑफ एक्शन. ठीक है. अब घर पे बैठ के हम लोग काम कर रहे थे कोविड में, तो नहीं आ रहा था मजा. पूरे दिन लैपटॉप पे लगे हुए, क्लाइंट से सिर्फ मीटिंग्स हो रही है, सर फोड़ रहे हैं लैपटॉप के अंदर, फोन के अंदर. तो मैंने कहा नहीं यार, मतलब आई नीड सम
फिजिकल इंटरेक्शन.
तो आई थॉट कि लेट्स लीव इट. एंड माय डैड वाज आल्सो वेरी सपोर्टिव कि यार अगर यही काम करना है तो हमारी प्रैक्टिस. तो आई टुक अ डिसीजन दैट आई टुक अ लीप ऑफ फेथ. डैड की प्रैक्टिस एक बार ज्वाइन करते हैं एंड लेट्स स्टार्ट लुकिंग फॉर अपॉर्चुनिटीज.
Okay, so at that time also you were thinking that कोई और company join करेंगे?
नहीं, opportunities as in business opportunities.
Business opportunities. So by that time this was clear that खुद का ही करेंगे.
हाँ, अब खुद का करते हैं.
Got it.
पॉइंट पे जैसे ही शू डॉग पढ़ा, इंस्पायर हुआ, मैंने कहा बस अब छोड़ो जॉब को, लात मारो, अब खुद का कुछ बनेंगे. ठीक है. I joined my dad's company, dad's firm, and started going there. Meanwhile I was researching a lot on a lot of things. सेक्टर्स देख रहा था, कंज्यूमर कैसा है, टेक क्या है, फिनटेक के दिमाग बहुत कुछ चल रहा था. I used to have sessions with my friends कि कोई अकाउंटिंग सॉफ्टवेयर बना देते हैं. ठीक है, ये भी बिजनेस, ये भी प्रॉब्लम है मार्केट में, ये भी प्रॉब्लम है मार्केट में. तो we were going through that phase and it was very interesting. I used to love having conversations about different startups and all of those things. And one more interesting thing had happened last year. As I told you, like life in a corporate firm, big corporate firm is very tough.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to put in long hours.
100%.
You have to play office politics. You have to, do everything that you can to
everything, and I think anything and everything outside your GD also.
Yeah.
At times.
Exactly. And still you don't get any promotion.
Yeah. And then the recognition also at times is
कोई मतलब thank you तो बोलता ही नहीं है.
Thankless job मुझे लगती है.
ठीक है. तो उस टाइम पर we were going through, like I was going through डाउन टाइम. मेरे को अच्छा नहीं लगता था इतना, मुझे मोनोटनस, जैसे मैंने बोला,
वही वो एक फेज आ जाता है.
तो उस टाइम पर मुझे मेरे एक दोस्त ने रेकमेंड किया था कि यार तू योगा कर. ही वाज अ योगा टीचर हिमसेल्फ.
अच्छा.
यश. तो ही टोल्ड मी एंड ही हैड ओनली वन एडवाइस टू गिव कि भाई तू योगा कर, तेरी जिंदगी बदल जाएगी.
ओके.
अब उसको तो पता नहीं था कि मेरी जिंदगी एक्चुअली बदल जाएगी.
आई नो.
I and Shreya, we both joined a yoga class.
Okay.
ठीक है, near to.
For context to to everybody watching, Shreya is Prateek's wife.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also my co-founder.
And also his co-founder at WiseLife.
Yeah. Yes. तो श्रेया और मैंने योगा क्लास ज्वाइन करी.
Yeah.
हमने फुल एक्साइटेड है, हम लोग योगा जाएंगे. हमने ऑनलाइन योगा मैट्स भी ऑर्डर कर दिए. Amazon पे देखा जो टॉप योगा मैट आ रहा है ऑर्डर.
उससे पहले you didn't have any connection as such with wellness yoga in general?
No,
nothing.
पहले योगा से तो कोई
connection नहीं था.
उससे 3 साल पहले 2 साल पहले अगर आपने मेरे को बोला होता कि योगा कर ले, तो I would have laughed at you.
Okay.
योगा कौन करता है? योगा तो मेरी दादी नानी करती है.
हाँ.
ठीक है, that sort of image yoga had
right.
at that point of time.
Right.
But things had changed in those 3-4 years. I'll come to that also later.
Sure.
So हमने योगा क्लास ज्वाइन करी. हम अपने नए मैट्स लेकर जा रहे हैं. अब हम योगा क्लास के अंदर घुस रहे हैं एंड एंट्रेंस पर ही 2 आंटीज बैठी हैं, योगा करने के लिए फुल तैयार हैं, और उन्होंने वो दरी चद्दर बिछा के बैठी. हाँ. ठीक है, तो मैंने कहा अच्छा इस पर भी योगा करते हैं लोग. मैं थोड़ा सा उनको जज भी कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है, हमने अपनी जगह ली, हम अपना योगा मैट खोलने लग रहे हैं. आई ओपनड द मैट, इट गॉट रोल्ड बैक.
हमेशा
खुला ही नहीं है. हाँ. तो और मैं फिर वो आंटी को देख रहा हूँ, वो आंटी मेरे से पूछे बेटा चद्दर चाहिए तो ले लो. ठीक है, तो काफी बेइज्जती हो गई वहाँ पे. मैंने कहा कोई बात नहीं. हाँ. जैसे तैसे हमने योगा करा. हमें योगा बहुत अच्छा लगने लग गया था उस पे. एंड फिर जब मैंने जॉब छोड़ा, उस टाइम पर आई वाज लुकिंग एट अपॉर्चुनिटीज एंड योगा भी मैं कर रहा था. तो आई वाज एक्चुअली लुकिंग एट द मार्केट एंड आई वाज सीइंग दैट योगा इन इंडिया देयर इज अ ब्रांड फॉर एवरीथिंग. ठीक है, शूज के 100 ब्रांड हैं, सॉक्स के भी 100 ब्रांड हैं, हैंकीज के ब्रांड्स आ गए हैं, वॉच के स्ट्रैप्स के भी ब्रांड हैं. ठीक है, बट योगा का एक भी ब्रांड नहीं है. आपके दिमाग में कोई भी योगा ब्रांड आ रहा है अभी? मतलब नहीं आ रहा है. पतंजलि इज नॉट अ योगा ब्रांड.
हाँ, पतंजलि इज नॉट योगा. नो, इट्स नॉट. इट्स नॉट.
ठीक है.
या
तो हमने
स्पेसिफिक टू योगा एंड एक्सट्रीमली कस्टमाइज्ड. नो.
राइट. वी रियलाइज कि इंडिया में कोई योगा ब्रांड ही नहीं है. जो भी ब्रांड्स योगा मैट सेल कर रहे हैं, they are just adding on to that product as a
one of the products. Yeah, correct.
मैं स्पोर्ट्स ब्रांड हूँ एक.
हाँ.
मैं ऑलरेडी बॉल्स, बैट्स,
रैकेट्स बेच रहा हूँ. करेक्ट.
ठीक है, तो वो सिर्फ बेचने को बेच रहे थे. हाँ. लेकिन कोई भी योगा के लिए प्रोडक्ट्स नहीं बना रहा था.
True. For the practice, I don't think nobody was making.
कोई भी कस्टमर सेंट्रिक नहीं था.
Correct.
तो एक फर्स्ट इनसाइट ये था. ठीक है. सेकंड इनसाइट था कि वेलनेस एज अ स्पेस was on a trend, on a upward trend. Right. Everybody was moving towards organic, healthy products.
And taking their health seriously also, especially in our country.
Right.
Because I don't think until at least 3-4 years ago, we also looked at taking care of our health and wellness so much as we do as a country today.
We would never pay 2.5x of the price just for a healthy honey or a healthy sugar or a healthy,
True.
Organic rice.
Alternatives, yeah. Alternatives. नहीं करते.
So that was there. So the second insight was health was on a upward trend.
Yeah.
The third thing that we noticed was yoga is an Indian thing.
Yeah.
And which got very popular in the West.
Correct.
In the US, in the UK, Canada.
And they started taking it more seriously than us.
Yeah. Right? So, and then after 2017, 2018, 19, India started getting inspired from the West and they started taking yoga back again.
Yeah.
ठीक है, तो आप कोई भी ऑथर की सेल्फ हेल्प बुक पढ़ रहे हो, आपको वहाँ योगा दिखेगा, मेडिटेशन दिखेगा. आप कोई भी अच्छे फिटनेस इन्फ्लुएंसर को फॉलो कर रहे हो, आप एक्टर्स को देख रहे हो, एवरीबॉडी इज डूइंग योगा. ठीक है, तो योगा स्टार्टेड गेटिंग पॉपुलर इन इंडिया अगेन. सो दैट इज व्हेन आई रियलाइज कि यार योगा का मतलब ट्रेंड बढ़ ही रहा है. ठीक है, एंड इट इज सच अ ब्यूटीफुल थिंग. एंड व्हाई इज दैट देयर इज नो ब्रांड व्हिच इज एक्चुअली केटरिंग टू देयर नीड्स फ्रॉम अ कस्टमर्स पर्सपेक्टिव. अभी जो योगा मैट्स लोग बेच रहे हैं वो बस ऐसे बेच रहे हैं कि यार एक फैक्ट्री बेच रही है, उससे खरीदा, ऊपर अपना ब्रांड का नाम चिपकाया, बेच दिया, विदाउट थिंकिंग कि भाई इट्स नॉट अ गुड योगा मैट.
करेक्ट. यूटिलिटी कुछ उसकी देख ही नहीं रहे.
क्वेश्चन नहीं था. पीवीसी से बने हुए हैं, व्हिच इज अ कार्सिनोजेनिक मटेरियल. ठीक है, कोई प्रिंट्स नहीं है. और मैं Amazon USA देख रहा हूँ या मैं यूके मार्केट एक्सप्लोर कर रहा हूँ, वहाँ पर इतने सुंदर योगा मैट, इतने अच्छे योगा मैट मिल रहे थे. सो दैट वाज द पॉइंट वेयर वी रियलाइज्ड कि देयर इज अ ह्यूज गैप इन द market is expanding and on an upward trend, and like there's a lot of scope to do a lot of things in this space.
But you realized this when you yourself went to a physical yoga class and realized ki when you were probably getting down to do the practice, how problematic it was for you.
Correct.
Got it.
That's when that insight was there in my head.
Huh.
I did not act upon it then. It was just an
It must have taken some time for you to realize कि business perspective से भी it's actually an idea that can be worked upon, I guess.
So later on, when I quit my job, we started looking at the market also.
Right.
So the wellness market was more than $10 billion. And it was expanding like anything. CAGR was more than 20%.
Right.
तो फिर हमने बोला कि यार बनाते हैं, करते हैं, start तो करते हैं. And it happened very naturally. मतलब I just started talking to some suppliers कि सर मेरे को ये अच्छा वाला मैट चाहिए जो मैंने यूएस से मंगाया है, उसका सैंपल भेज रहा हूँ. तो कोई इंडिया में उस वक्त सप्लायर्स नहीं मिले, हमें बाहर मिले. हमने स्टार्ट किया एक बार इंपोर्ट करके. इंपोर्टेड आवर फर्स्ट लॉट. वी इंपोर्टेड इट, वी लिस्टेड इट ऑन Amazon. इट गॉट सोल्ड आउट वेरी सून. ठीक है, हमने कहा यार बढ़िया है. मैंने दोबारा डबल की क्वांटिटी लॉट मंगवाया चाइना से, वो दोबारा बिक गया. एंड ऐसे ऐसे चलता रहा, स्टॉक आउट होते रहे. एक पॉइंट आया, मैंने कहा कि यार मार्केट तो है, ठीक है, तो अब इसको बहुत सीरियसली लेते हैं. आई पुट इन सम कैपिटल, आई स्पोक टू a lot of manufacturers in India, got a manufacturer to make that imported quality for us in India.
Oh, okay.
And that's how we increased our
scale. Yeah.
And we got onto it full time. I got onto it full time.
Right.
We launched the entire category of yoga mats, starting from $1,000
okay
till $5,000. तो हमारा 5,000 वाला योगा मैट भी
just the mat,
just the yoga mats first.
Okay.
In the first year.
Right.
And then we also understood the market.
Yeah.
There were a lot of yoga props which are used in your
in the practice. Yeah.
Right. So there are these yoga blogs. अच्छा,
right.
आपको योगा मैट रखने के लिए एक योगा अच्छा बैग चाहिए. That you want to
flaunt also when you're carrying it, obviously.
You want a yoga wheel. You want a yoga strap.
Right.
ठीक है. There's a yoga wedge. There's a yoga ball. So yoga peanut ball. There are a lot of small products जिनकी मार्केट धीरे धीरे बन रही है. ठीक है. तो हमने वो सारी चीजों पर स्टडी किया, one by one वो प्रोडक्ट्स लॉन्च किए. ठीक है. And we built the entire category of yoga. Right. And when it we were confident enough कि अब हमारी पूरी कैटेगरी बिल्ड हो गई है, then we started promoting it more. ठीक है. We started gifting free products to a lot of yoga teachers. ठीक है. अब वो योगा टीचर अपनी क्लास में उस प्रोडक्ट को यूज कर रही है, तो बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स देख रहे हैं. ठीक है. वो खरीद रहे हैं. तो that was the chain and network effect which happened for us, and that's how
it all came through. Which is so interesting and beautiful to actually also listen to, because I think, like you said, the first question you asked me is there any yoga brand that comes to your mind, right? When I talk about yoga as a category, and I still am thinking about it, and there isn't any, right? Because like you said,
white space.
Yeah, it's a white space, because कोई customer के perspective से सोच ही नहीं रहा ना. You're not thinking of what that person who is on the mat and trying to do his or her practice needs or is going through, or what his requirements are to enhance the practice per se, right? So tell me a little bit also about Prateek, how did the name WiseLife come about? I would like to know a little bit if there's a particular philosophy or a story around how you decided on the name. Right. And also tell me a little bit about your co-founder Shreya, how you met her and how were you both on board and in sync and aligned with this idea wherein you were ready to give it your all. I know you saw scope in the industry and everything, but I want to also know that how did the two of you decide to also work together per se? Yeah.
It's quite an interesting story.
Yeah.
It took a little while to come on to this name, but somewhere it was always there.
Okay.
Right. So the idea was to create something which stands for itself. Right? So we wanted to create aspiration and inspiration as well. What Nike is for running and athleticism and power and all of those things, we wanted to create something which was representing like a wise wisdom, like a wise way of living,
right?
Which showed wisdom, which represented like a slow and contentful and mindful living.
Yeah.
So that's how WiseLife came to be, and we wanted to start with yoga, but we always want to make it a lifestyle brand.
Okay.
Okay. So it's sort of something that you connect with. Like so
you're looking at it from a holistic approach. It's 360 degrees.
Yeah. And it has to. We have to create it aspirational. Yeah.
Got it. So I think, was it you who finally decided on the name, or did you
I think
and
it was several discussions that we had put in, and there were a lot of names that we had written down.
got it?
But finally, we chose कि यार WiseLife
WiseLife.
is very simple,
Yeah.
it's to the point, and it
And self-explanatory.
Self-explanatory is very important.
Yeah, yeah. मतलब नाम सुन के at least you get an understanding of what it stands for. Yeah.
And with talking about how Shreya and I started,
Yeah.
so we started a yoga class together.
Right. At that time you were together, right?
Yeah.
So you started going to the yoga class together.
We started going to the yoga class together.
Right.
We identified the gap together. We used to discuss about a lot of startup ideas together. So we had taken a call कि I had left my job, so I'm going to be starting something full time.
Right.
And she wants to be a part of it.
Got it.
ठीक है. Although she really loved her job.
Yeah.
And till date she loved her job.
Yeah.
ठीक है. तो उसको वही करना था. But she put in a lot of effort in initial strategy, initial discussions, forming the team, forming the name, branding. She's really good at marketing. She's really good at communications.
Right.
So her effort has always been there.
Yeah.
And that's why, like she till date handles only marketing.
Right.
Marketing की जो discussions होती है, जो strategy होती है, she takes care of that.
हाँ.
And all the operations, sales, procurement, HR वगैरह, वो सारी चीजें मैं देखता हूँ.
Right. Got it. Very interesting. And I think that's a good combination to have as well. The fact that obviously you both could come on board to one common thing, and then that one yoga class where your friend Yash recommended you to go and try out yoga probably changed your life, if I was to say so, right? Because it did. But I think what I also want to understand, Prateek, is we're seeing this wave of entrepreneurship and the startup ecosystem is booming at this point of time, right? With a show like Shark Tank, which is legendary and revolutionary in its own being. And I think as a country, we've always looked at Shark Tank USA as like the show when it comes to entrepreneurship, right? Yeah. Raising funds and startup ecosystem. And obviously, I'm sure when it came to India as well, and since you always knew कि कुछ ना कुछ तो अपना करना है, why don't you tell us a little bit about the fact that is there a story behind going to Shark Tank? Was it always on the cards? Did you even probably envision this for yourself that, okay, one day I'll be pitching my business idea in front of sharks? Tell us a little bit about how the entire Shark Tank, I would say, deal and everything that happened even came into picture, right? And what was your experience like actually going there to then bagging an all-shark deal?
Shreya and I both were big Shark Tank fans
since
childhood. And even like I remember our first conversation that we had back in 2016.
Yeah.
We had both spoken about our love about Shark Tank.
Oh my God,
right?
Okay.
And when Shark Tank came to India, we were both, we both went crazy. India mein shit, India mein Shark Tank aa gaya. And we have to apply, we have to go there. And we had started WiseLife by that point of time. Although it was very initial stages par tha. And so Shark Tank came. And we applied to Shark Tank season 2 for the first time. Yeah. And we got rejected.
Acha, you had applied?
Yeah, we had applied for Shark Tank season 2. And for some reason we had gotten rejected. I don't know. It might be the numbers. It might be our story was not very well.
Yeah, maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
So we were a bit, disheartened. We had a lot of expectations in Shark Tank season 2. But then season 3 was again coming. And we applied for it again. There were multiple rounds of season 3. At every round, we were a bit nervous, we were a bit hopeful, we were a bit confident, and we were a bit apprehensive. It was
mixed emotions.
All those feelings.
Yeah.
So we applied and we went through one round at a time, and it went like, then we were selected for the final round. We were in Bombay. They called us for a shoot, and the final day came when you are at the Shark Tank set, you are not actually allowed to roam here and there, to meet sharks or to see a lot of things before the time that you actually go on the tank
stage and pitch.
Yeah. So उससे पहले ना बहुत ज़्यादा nervousness होता है, and you are backstage preparing for it. There are a lot of meetings that are happening. People are preparing you कि आपको कहाँ खड़े होना है, आपसे किस तरीके के सवाल पूछे जाएंगे, आपको कहाँ देखना है. So it was a bit daunting initially, and coming from a middle class family, we had a lot of apprehensiveness कि यार कुछ गलत तो नहीं बोल देंगे, हमारा कुछ आंसर गलत परसीव तो नहीं हो जाएगा, एंड ऑन नेशनल टेलीविजन ऐसा तो नहीं है कि मतलब पीपल स्टार्ट bashing us and all of those
कुछ
things.
बैकलैश ना आए.
कुछ बैकलैश ना आए, तो बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें थी. Also like quite interestingly, when I had started my company WiseLife initially, so we had started with yoga mats. ठीक है. Now initially like a lot of people, lot of family friends used to say कि यार ये क्या कर रहा है, मतलब तेरा अच्छा प्रैक्टिस है, अच्छी जॉब में था, तू इतने पैसे कमा रहा था, क्या ये योगा मैट्स बेच रहा है, इससे क्या हो जाएगा. So there, although I was always very confident, and I'm a kind of guy who always looks, at the bigger picture. तो मैं हमेशा विजन लेके चलता हूँ, and छोटी चीजों से मुझे ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि अभी मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. Like I had also packed orders myself initially. ठीक है, so I had done a lot of odd jobs.
Right.
But always my eyes was on the bigger picture. तो but लेकिन there is some kind of self doubt which usually
it creeps in. हाँ, आ जाता है.
तो वो आ जाता है. बट अब शार्क टैंक पे जा रहे हैं तब भी बहुत सारा सेल्फ डाउट हो रहा था कि यार मे बी आई एम नॉट मेड फॉर कैमरा, मे बी.
एंड आई थिंक आसपास ऐसा होता है कि व्हेन यू सी people with different business ideas also in coming up, is it a little intimidating? I don't know.
It sort
slightly
of is,
because thoda bahut to I think it does rub off, right? Because because at the end of the day they are your competition, right? Not everybody is going to get a check.
Right.
So
although like I did not have that in my mind.
वो नहीं था. Okay.
But I think a lot of people did.
Yeah.
ठीक है, तो वो चीज थी. और फाइनली हम लोग जैसे तैसे टैंक पर गए, हमने पिच किया. पिच पे जैसे गेट खुलता है, यू आर सीइंग 5 sharks for the first time. ठीक है, उस पैनल की नेटवर्थ मतलब बिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर्स में थी. ठीक है, आप जाते हो, खड़े होते हो, और इतनी लाइट्स, इतने कैमरास आपको फेस कर रहे हैं, तो एक बार ही आपका बॉडी शिवर कर रहा है. बट समहाउ लाइक वी गेव द पिच, इट वेंट ऑन फ्लॉलेस.
Your original pitch was how long? Like पूरी तो आती नहीं है, right? तो कितनी लंबी थी actual pitch जो आप देते हो?
So the entire discussion
पूरा
on the panel, it was more than 1 hour 20 minutes.
1 hour 20 minutes.
It was more than 1 hour 20 minutes. But I think on
air
it was just about
20-25. Yeah. Correct.
तो बाकी काफी सारी डिस्कशंस होती हैं, काफी सारी चीजें वो डिटेल में पूछते हैं जो कि did not get aired. Yeah, but the pitch went great. They asked whatever questions, we were able to answer it very well because we were prepared.
Right.
We were very prepared about all the questions.
Right.
And they loved our brand. All of them offered us deals.
Deals, yeah.
So that was like when we moved out of the tank, it was like damn.
Relief.
I mean,
yeah.
Relief. It was like a dream.
I'm sure.
For a week, every day we were only dreaming about that Shark Tank pitch.
Yeah.
So that was really nice.
Tell me one thing, when you were giving the pitch, and obviously this 1 hour 20 minute back and forth conversation was happening with the sharks, and I'm sure they had their own questions, whether it's with respect to numbers or the market or the sales or what are your future plans, what you're looking to do. Was there any point where you had realized or felt कि मतलब check तो मिल जाएगा, हो जाएगा? When did you realize in that 1 hour 20 minutes कि we are taking back home like a check? For sure.
See, surprisingly, like since they had not seen a similar brand, they connected very, very soon with our idea, with our brand, with the philosophy.
Okay.
And they even liked our products. Right. So Aman, before even asking our revenue, had made an offer.
अच्छा.
हाँ, मतलब अभी तक तो क्वेश्चन ही नहीं पूछे हैं.
हाँ.
अभी तक हम कह रहे हैं कि मतलब he had asked revenue, he had not asked like about a profitability.
Exact. हाँ, details में.
अभी सिर्फ 4 क्वेश्चन पूछे हैं, and अमन ने अपना ऑफर दे दिया. And we were like, ठीक है. फिर अमन के साथ नमिता ने दे दिया.
Right.
ठीक है. फिर उसके बाद अनुपम ने दिया. अनुपम ने ज्यादा पैसे दे दिए और same percentage. Then Ritesh had also come in.
Yeah.
So मतलब that was crazy. And जैसे वैसे फर्स्ट ऑफर आया था, श्रेया इज लाइक नजिंग मी, ले लो. एंड आई लाइक रुक जाओ, अभी सुनते हैं.
Got it. So I'm sure it would have been a very overwhelming, yet a very, very, I would say, yeah, like you said, a dream come true, right? Because the fact that you both have been fans of Shark Tank and you always envisioned yourself being there to getting an all Shark deal. I mean, what else could it couldn't get better than this, right? But also tell me a little bit about the fact that when you see things like a Shark Tank India coming to India, when you see the global startup wave, like I was speaking about, coming to India, so many ideas being brought to life, so many founders from tier 2, tier 3 cities today coming up, having the courage to start something of their own, even though access may be limited, so to say, or resources may not be so accessible. What is your observation on this entire scenario around right now? Like, I have also observed this. Metropolitan cities, you take a Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, etc. in these cities, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be appreciating the entrepreneurs coming out of these cities, but it is definitely easier for them to get into the ecosystem, to have access to people, resources, everything.
Correct.
What are your thoughts on the most of the startup founders today coming up with the most revolutionary ideas and innovating in the ecosystem coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and why do you think is that happening?
Right. See, first of all, let's speak about India.
Yeah.
So India, if you talk about 1947, 1950s, we had nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, we had a huge population. We had no money. The government was completely new.
Yeah.
Okay, we were facing all the challenges: agriculture, industry, infra, money, education. Like our country had all the problems to solve.
Correct.
Okay, but if you study like decade wise, India has progressed a lot.
Yeah.
ठीक है, हमने अपनी सबसे पहले बेसिक प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व किया, ठीक है, फिर हमने एग्रीकल्चर को सॉल्व किया, एग्रीकल्चर रेवोल्यूशन आया,
Yeah.
फिर ग्लोबलाइजेशन हुआ, लिबरलाइजेशन हुआ 1991 में, ठीक है, उसके बाद इंडिया में बहुत ज्यादा पैसा आया,
Yeah.
फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट्स आई, ब्रांड्स आए, बहुत सारी चीजें हुई, टेक्नोलॉजी आई,
Right.
ठीक है, देन वी स्टार्टेड वर्किंग अ लॉट ऑन एजुकेशन, ठीक है, तो इन 2000s देयर वाज एन एजुकेशनल वेव व्हिच
Right. Yeah.
lot of IIMs, lot of colleges, schools, government schools were happening in and around the country. So we had solved for education, but we had solved for education, but we had not solved infrastructure at that point of time. So a lot of brain drain was happening.
Right.
A lot of IITs
Talent.
and IIMs
Yeah.
talent was actually moving to the US and to the UK.
100%.
But right now, speaking of 2024 and 2030, our infrastructure is increasing, is developing like anything. You see city like Surat, Ahmedabad, Gurgaon,
Yeah.
Bangalore.
Yeah.
Highways are
Hyderabad.
opening up
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
So everything, like the growth is happening at a rapid scale.
True.
Okay, so opportunities are opening up, and a lot of money, lot of VC money from US, from China, from Russia, UK is coming in India now. ठीक है, तो तभी तो ये सारे ब्रांड्स सब, तभी तो ये सारे स्टार्टअप्स ग्रो हो रहे हैं, ठीक है. I had a chance to travel to 6 countries in the last 2 years.
Okay.
And there is no country which offers such good customer satisfaction, such good customer service like India. Talk about hospitality, talk about grocery delivery. The job that Zomato, Swiggy, Zepto,
Zepto are doing. Yeah.
doing in India, it's unparalleled.
True.
It's not there in the US.
Yeah.
इतनी जल्दी delivery, accurate delivery, pricing.
And हर तरीके का item यार, everything. Which category is left? I don't know.
And even if they are delivering at your house
Yeah.
in the developed cities, developed nations, they'll charge you a bomb
True.
in deliveries.
True.
But India में delivery fees नहीं है, ठीक है, तो ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? एक बारी को there's an argument that this is happening because a lot of VCs are burning money.
Money, yeah.
ठीक है, बट वो मनी, वो पागल तो है नहीं, वो बेवकूफ तो है नहीं, वो पैसा बर्न क्यों कर रहे हैं? उनको अपॉर्चुनिटी दिख रही है, ठीक है. एंड दीज ब्रांड्स, दीज कंज्यूमर companies are also turning profitable year on year.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
correct.
Every year you'll see 10 companies turning profitable, which were burning money in the last 3 years.
3 years. True.
Right. So why is it happening? Because India is the next opportunity. इंडिया में एजुकेशन का ग्रोथ हो रहा है, इंडिया में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का ग्रोथ हो रहा है, इंडिया में हाईवेज बन रहे हैं, रोड्स बन रहे हैं, द गवर्नमेंट इज हेल्पिंग बिजनेसेस, इज हेल्पिंग स्टार्टअप्स टू डू operate very efficiently, and efficiency is peak in India right now.
Yeah. So Prateek, since obviously we spoke about the global startup wave and everything, also I also want to know your thoughts on how are you looking at India as a country, and why do you think it is that now suddenly the opposite is happening, right? Talent from the US or other countries and folks who had gone there probably for their higher education or maybe to build a career there and settled down are now coming back to India. That is happening quite a lot. So why do you think is that really happening?
If you talk about 2000s, ठीक है, 2005 में अगर एक बिजनेस को पेमेंट्स करनी होती थी, वो बैंक जाते थे, ठीक है, फिजिकली जाना पड़ता था, 100 चीजें होती थी. There are so many things which are there is so many documentation which needs to be happened from bank, from government, DGFT, and this department, that department. Everything has turned online now.
Yeah, it's all digitized.
एक दिन के अंदर हो जाता है जो पहले हफ्ते में होता था.
Correct.
तो ये सारी efficiency, forget everything. UPI payments.
I swear. I mean, we are the first movers. India ही तो लाया है.
Right.
And
China has something similar.
Yeah.
उनके पास Alipay होता है. वहाँ पर भी payments ऐसे हो जाती है.
Right.
But बाकी जगहों पे इतना fluid है ही नहीं.
Yeah. Yeah.
तो India definitely is the next, big thing which is going to happen. We are already touching 4 trillion in GDP. And I think any business, any person who wants to make something big of his own, I think they should definitely try India first and not global countries.
Right. But
and talking about
the tier 2
and tier 3 cities, there is massive opportunity in tier 2. Like you can take example of cities like Jaipur, Ahmedabad, Surat, Ludhiana, Tripur. ठीक है, तो इन cities में भी कुछ अलग ही हो रहा है. Right, you'll see infrastructure developments, you'll see a lot of brands, lot of startups operating from these cities. Like I met like 2-3 technology startups who are completely operating out of Kanpur.
Okay.
So Kanpur, and I was like, Kanpur में तो इतना कुछ talent भी नहीं मिलता होगा. And they're like, I get better talent, which is non-poachable. Yeah. ठीक है, and at better, at lesser remunerations.
Yeah, obviously. Do you also think that when we talk about the tier 2, tier 3 cities and founders coming out of there, do you also feel just that hunger and drive and motivation is a lot more than the people who have more access in the tier 1 cities, and hence probably they are ready to go that extra mile? Or how do you look at it?
I think it's very subjective. Although, like if I talk about myself, when I moved from a tier 2 city to a tier 1 city for my education, my learning and growth curve was like massive.
I'm sure it's very.
So I think we get very adaptive very soon.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe like that is there, or maybe it has something to do with when you live separate from your family. You have a lot of time to prove yourself. You have a lot of time to do things. When you're living with your family now, especially in a middle class family, there are a lot of events that you have to go to. कभी कोई आपके घर आ जाता है, कभी आपको किसी के घर जाना है, कभी कुछ चल रहा है घर पे, कभी कुछ चल रहा है घर पे. तो I don't know if this has something to contribute or not, but there are a lot of small factors which contribute to the people coming from tier 2 cities and making a big mark at tier 1 or national or global level.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I also feel that, like you said, when there's so much at stake and you get that space, and it's not about proving something, but then you have left everything behind and come here, right? तो कुछ तो करके जाना चाहिए, मतलब that thing is always there. So I get that. So with that also, Prateek, tell me a little bit about how, when you obviously started building the brand, the deal came in, all the sharks obviously given their checks, and obviously they were very happy with what you guys are building, etc. Post Shark Tank, how have your interactions with them been? How has their involvement been? What kind of support do you think it has provided to you? How has it helped you scale WiseLife beyond just till when you pitched at the tank, right? So how has the journey been post Shark Tank?
The journey, as soon as, what happens is, आप Shark Tank पे जाते हो, ठीक है, आप deal लेकर आ जाते हो. After Shark Tank, they tell you that there is a 50 to 70% chance that you'll be aired.
Right.
Okay, so
not every pitch gets aired.
Every pitch gets aired. For sure. There are so many startups जिन्होंने अच्छा किया वो है, but they did not get aired for whatever.
Because limited time slots भी है ना.
Limited time slots है. I think that's a creative call that they take. कि ये कितना TRP आएगा, ये कितना audience connect करेगा, all kind of things. So we were also not very certain कि हमारा episode air होगा. But nevertheless, we were hoping कि कल आएगा हमारा एपिसोड, शायद कल आ जाए. एंड
तो आपको पता नहीं होता है?
पता नहीं होता. They don't tell us. They just inform us like 1 or 2 days before. You
Acha.
are getting aired 2 days after. So be ready, be prepared. And these are like a couple of photos that you can put in. And like they give you some disclaimers कि ये चीजें नहीं करनी
हाँ.
ऐसा कुछ होता है. तो हम लोग जैसे ही शार्क टैंक पर एयर हुए, the response was massive. People started checking out our brand, or traffic got increased, or orders got increased. We were doing, let's say, about 500 orders before Shark Tank.
Yeah.
The order volume moved to above 2000 for at least the next 15 days. मतलब 2200 orders आ रहे हैं every day. Now, again, this is the flip side of it, that we had to do so much work that we almost forgot कि मतलब we did not particularly enjoy or Shark
the
Tank
entire experience and maybe letting it sink in.
So जैसे ही next day से तो मतलब we were like entirely working day and night. I had so many sleepless nights because next day हमें orders fulfill करने हैं.
Right.
2500 order आए हैं, वो fulfill करने हैं, वो कैसे करोगे? Inventory manage करनी है, people manage करने हैं, hiring चल रही है. There's a lot of interest coming in, lot of emails coming in which you have to reply to because it might be of a potential customer, it might be of a potential collaboration.
Right.
All of those things. So we had to be on our toes.
Yeah.
So that was like a amazing feeling, but we had to adapt ourselves to the new situation very soon.
Yeah.
And quite interestingly, human brains adapts to the new situation very, very quickly. So
option नहीं होता ना.
Although like 1 week we were very, very happy.
Yeah.
कि यार हम शार्क टैंक पे आ गए, अब तो मजा ही आ गया, सारा सेल्फ डाउट चला गया, रिश्तेदारों के फोन आ रहे हैं, पेरेंट्स खुश हैं, ठीक है, सब लोग कंग्रेचुलेट कर रहे हैं, ऐसा वैसा हो रहा है. बट 8वें दिन से वो फीलिंग बहुत ही नॉर्मल
हो जाती है.
You start to look at the next thing. You start forming new goals, you start forming new opportunities आप grab करने लगते हो, वो सारी चीजें होती हैं. तो we got lost in that very, very soon.
Yeah. And what about the kind of support that you've received from all the sharks? How has your interaction been with them? How is it that they are probably kind of helping you, supporting you? How has that helped you also look at probably the brand and what you want to do and the vision going forward in a different manner, so to say?
So sharks at the end of the day is an investor who's famous and therefore more busy.
Correct.
Right. So in my company, they have only 1% of
stake, each one of them. Yeah.
So I can't expect them to be very interested in my business.
True.
To be very involved in my business.
Yeah.
So मेरे लिए for our company, it's like कि whenever I need some mentorship, whenever I need some help, I can easily reach out to their teams. Okay, I although have each of Shark's numbers also. Yeah. But it's not like I'll call them or text them directly. So I'll message their team and they'll arrange a meeting. Yeah. So I have met almost all the Sharks after Shark Tank. After Shark Tank, and the relationship is good. They are there whenever we need them. And I think in future also, whenever we are going to raise more money, whenever there's a challenge that I'm facing which is not being solved by my team, so I think they are going to be there for help. Right. Yeah. But at the same time, there are companies where their stake is more than 10%, 20%, 25%. I think they are more involved. And
it makes sense also, right? Logically, because then they have put in that kind of, I would say, an amount wherein they have to give in that kind of contribution and time for it to also make sense for them.
They're sort of partner in those
businesses.
In my company, they are just an investor
and
a mentor.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. So very interestingly, I think it's also so, I would say, amazing to see that today you have been able to obviously not just make it a brand that is restricted to yoga, like you mentioned, but you are looking at it from an entire realm of health, wellness and lifestyle, right? So Prateek, going forward, what is in your mind with respect to WiseLife? Like, what do you see it catering to specifically? And are there any new products that you're planning to launch? Is there something specific that you have in mind with respect to how you envision the brand to come to life going forward? So why don't you tell us a little bit about that too?
For WiseLife, I think we have a very big vision. We have a very big market to cater to.
Yeah.
I'll just give you an example. For most of the people, fitness was about gymming.
Yeah.
Right? Like back in the day. But now there are so many form of exercises which have opened up. Okay, so for Shreya and me also, when we wanted to focus on our health, we did not want to go to a gym. We were not gym buffs. हमें body नहीं बनानी थी. हमें जिम में जाते ही हम देखते हैं मोस्टली लोग प्रोटीन्स ले रहे हैं, वेट्स उठा रहे हैं, वो सारी चीजें. तो वी डिड नॉट फील दैट वी बिलोंग्ड देयर. So that's why we looked at yoga. And this is happening with so many people. So many people are practicing yoga because they feel that they sort of connect with that sort of lifestyle.
Right.
So that is the market that, which we are catering to. And this market is also expanding.
Right.
Right.
True.
So that, and we want to make very good, innovative, aesthetically looking products for these people.
Yeah.
Right. Which represent their mindset, which creates an aspiration for them, and which, they feel really good wearing or using WiseLife product. So
Got
we're
it.
catering to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So are there any new product launches that are in the pipeline?
Without saying much,
Much, yeah.
but we have a very, very new range of products and a big range of products coming very soon.
Okay, great. So I think the
stay
audience should stay tuned for that and anticipate the launch.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So we've obviously spoken a lot about the Shark Tank experience, about you starting WiseLife, what you're looking to do with the brand as well. As we're coming towards the end of the podcast, I want to also know a little bit about your own personal journey of, I want to know that when you were in a job, obviously, and you liked it and you were pretty good at it and it taught you a lot, gave you great exposure, to now building something of your own, being an entrepreneur, hiring people, scaling a company, taking care of multiple verticals, etc. What has it taught you about money management, success, and just, I would say, fame in general? Because I think when you make such transitions in life, these three things, while they may just seem as tags, are majorly, I think, the pegs that kind of change, right? Because your definition of success changes through every phase, and then your relationship with money also changes, and the way you're leveraging the money or utilizing it changes, and then a little bit of just that recognition in people knowing you and fame also comes in, right? So how has that journey been with these three things from that phase to where you are now?
So, as you have rightly said, that the relationship with money keeps changing.
Changing, yeah.
Right. And for me, I believe that the basic necessities have been solved by our parents. So, I think, जैसे Maslow's hierarchy भी होता है,
Right.
तो हमारी शुरू की दो नीड्स हमारी sort of fulfilled है. अभी हम लोग जो काम कर रहे हैं वो ऊपर की दो चीजों पे
बाकी
है.
things, हाँ.
ठीक है, तो like money does not personally drive me a lot. Creating value, creating a brand, leaving a mark drives me a lot. Right? So, with money, there is one more thing. No, money is never enough.
It is never enough,
I
yeah.
don't know why, but like my parents have always taught me कि यार जितना है वो बहुत है. तुम्हारी चीजें, तुम्हारा रोटी, कपड़ा, मकान, तुम्हारी जनरल फिटनेस एंड वो सारी चीजें सॉल्व है.
हाँ.
उसके लिए प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. और वो मुझे 100% कॉन्फिडेंस है कि अगर ये ब्रांड नहीं भी चलता, दूसरा बिजनेस भी नहीं चलता, तो कहीं ना कहीं से इट विल,
वो तो केटर हो जाएगा.
चाहे वो जॉब से होगा, चाहे वो कैसे भी होगा. So I don't think that I'm working for money as such.
Right.
I feel that I am working to create a true value. So that drives me a lot. Talking about fame and recognition, again, like I don't have a very, big drive.
Do you think it matters though? Like as an entrepreneur today, because why I'm asking you that is, you'll see most of the entrepreneurs and even investors today trying to create their own brand, personal brand, their own social media, they're really active. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying they're doing it to get fame or recognition, but it's become a big part of the game overall. So how do you look at that side of the business?
I think that it's a marketing strategy.
Yeah, definitely.
Make, right?
Yeah.
So like even me and my marketing team, whenever we discuss, there are a lot of different routes that you can take to make your brand famous.
Yeah.
Lately, it is very popular for a brand to have a face, right?
And the founder being the personal brand.
The founder is someone who's actively talking about his brand, who's actively talking about the problem. So one of the marketing strategy is for the founder to represent his brand very actively.
Right.
He can talk about the brand, the problem that he's solving, and all of those things very actively. And it's a marketing strategy which is a very effective one also. So we have not really, been very bullish on it, but I think it's a very effective strategy that everyone needs to and should do.
Right.
But again, there are a lot of founders who are very work heavy. And they do not feel very comfortable to come on camera or to speak on a lot of events.
Right.
So I think that then they have to manage the strategy,
resort to other
methods.
Yeah.
So it's very subjective, but again, your point is completely 100% true.
And what has your understanding of success as a journey been like? Like, how do you look at it today? Like, if I ask you today, Prateek, that what do you define success as?
Yeah.
Just overall, not just with respect to WiseLife, but success in general as you sit today. How do you look at it today?
I believe that everybody has a different value system.
Yeah.
ठीक है, तो and I am a firm believer that आपको बहुत ज़्यादा self reflection करना चाहिए. And आपको अपने short term and long term goals को थोड़ा लिखते रहना चाहिए.
True.
So I sort of maintain this journal.
Okay.
And every 6 months, let's say I'm on a trip.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in a very good location. So I'll just open up that list and I'll just reflect कि यार मेरे पिछले 6 महीने के क्या goals थे, क्या मैंने fulfill किया, and मेरा long term goal क्या है. So let's say I define it. मेरी जो success है वो 3 way है. That will be health, wealth, and relations.
Right.
Relation will cover up my family, my friends.
Right.
Right. So I think there's a balance which I have to strike between the three. And till now that I think that I am very successful in all of the 3 parts that I consider pillars of success.
Right.
But I think there's a lot to be achieved in all the 3 pillars.
There's always more work that you can do.
Work, but I am a guy who's very, happy with the means that I have, but who always is very ambitious and looks up to achieve and to create more value.
That's amazing. I think, thank you so much for obviously sharing that. It was slightly deep and philosophical, but I think it gives you a lot of perspective on how, you look at life and what your perceptions are. With that, I think one last thing that I want to ask you, Prateek, because I think it'll be a great question for the audience also and for them to know. Most of the folks who are watching this podcast are people between the age of 18 to like a 40, and they're either going to be getting into their first jobs, quitting their jobs and starting something of their own, or transitioning in their career, right? And these are folks who are hungry for growth, want to learn, they're curious minds. And for all the aspiring entrepreneurs, and you having done a conventional CA degree to transitioning to be an entrepreneur, what do you think would be the most important lessons in general that you have learned in life that have helped you come to this point where you are? I'm not asking you for advice or tips, but just a few things you may have heard from any family member of yours, learned from a mentor, anything that's worked for you and has stuck with you, which you think has got you to this point wherein you're able to do whatever it is and could help aspiring entrepreneurs as well.
There are a lot of factors for me to have achieved whatever I've achieved till date. But quick points that I can give is that, first of all, we need to have a lot of self-belief. ठीक है, मतलब आज के टाइम पे आप जो चाहते हो ना, मुझे लगता है आप वो कर सकते हो. ठीक है, like me personally, I do not come from a marketing background. I come from finance background, and I run a marketing and a product business, right?
Right.
And I did not know anything about it. ठीक है, तो there are a lot of people put barrier inside their head कि नहीं यार मैं तो इस फील्ड से हूँ तो मैं ये कैसे करूँगा.
Correct.
I know a lot of financial people who are actually operating tech businesses.
Yeah, I mean, people restrict themselves to just the conventional degree or knowledge they have in a sector and think वही कर सकते हैं life में.
Right. So I think the first pillar will be to always have that self-belief and to pursue what you actually love. Second point will be that do follow your instincts and your curiosity in the initial stages of your career. So if I speak about ages from 16 to 20, you of course do not have enough data. You do not have enough exposure to make a long-term life decision कि यार मेरे को यही करना है. ठीक है, and so that is why even I focused a lot on getting exposure. Right. कि मुझे इन 5 सालों में जितना exposure लेना है उतना लेना है, जितना exposure मैं ले सकता हूँ उतना लेना है. And And after a point when I'm comfortable कि यार अब मुझे काफी ज्यादा information मिल गया है, मुझे पता है कि मार्केट में क्या चल रहा है, ये डिफरेंट फील्ड्स, ये डिफरेंट बिजनेसेस कैसे ऑपरेट होते हैं. आई थिंक दैट इज द पॉइंट वेयर यू शुड एक्चुअली मेक अ डिसीजन कि मुझे क्या करना है. एंड डू कीप फॉलोइंग योर इंस्टिंक्ट एंड योर क्यूरियोसिटी. उसको जाने दो. आपकी क्यूरियोसिटी आपको जहां लेके जा रही है ना, वेदर आई टेक द वर्स्ट एग्जाम्पल गेमिंग. ठीक है, हर कोई पेरेंट गेमिंग को बहुत ही बेकार मानता है कि ये पक्का टाइम वेस्ट है, इसमें पैसा भी इतना फूक रहे हैं बच्चे और टाइम भी इतना डाल रहे हैं, इससे रिटर्न कुछ नहीं
मिलेगा. हाँ,
देयर इज अ फ्रेंड, ठीक है, who did good college, who did good job. ठीक है, इवेंचुअली उसको रियलाइज हुआ कि नहीं यार मेरा पैशन तो गेमिंग है. एंड ही वाज submissing his, he was actually क्या बोलेंगे, suppressing his talent, his curiosity and his love for gaming,
right,
for the past 6, 7, 8 years,
right.
And but suddenly at some point he realized कि भाई अब तो मेरे को gaming है, he's doing well now in that business. Now he was telling me कि यार मैंने अगर वो चीज पहले ही कर ली होती, अगर मैंने वो उसको ढंग से एक्टिवली कर लिया होता, परस्यू कर लिया था, आज मैं एक बहुत अच्छी स्टैंडिंग पर होता.
True.
तो आई थिंक वी नीड टू लेट गो ऑफ our fears and doubts. We need to embrace our curiosity or interest. Of course it has to be in the right balance,
right.
ठीक है, तो वो चीजें, and we cannot have like 10 curiosities भी मतलब.
हाँ, मतलब इतना you cannot go all out also. Right. Yeah.
So I think that is another very big point, very big thing that we should take seriously. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so I think that makes a lot of sense, because like you mentioned that if you believe in something and you yourself are convinced enough that I can make this happen, is when it will happen at any point of time. Now, whether it happens 5 years later or 2, if you don't have that conviction, तो फिर तो होने ही नहीं वाला है. And like you very rightly said, just restricting yourself to and limiting yourself via a box that this is what I've done and hence I will only play around this, this entire, I would say, circumference is very limiting in life, because you don't know what's gonna happen ultimately. And I mean, all of these technology giants also that we see, most of the CEOs have actually done management degrees and MBAs and don't have any technical knowledge. I think at the end of the day, it's also a lot about delegation and the team also, right? Because it's not just the founder who's building the company. So I think thanks for sharing that as well, Prateek.
Also, जैसे आपने अभी mention किया था, there are so many alternate career options that have come in.
एग्जाम्पल
पॉडकास्टिंग ले लो,
हाँ,
कंटेंट क्रिएशन ले लो,
हाँ, ये एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करते थे,
एग्जिस्ट करते नहीं थे. एंड टिल डेट इफ यू आर इन 11th,
हाँ,
क्या आप ये डिसीजन ले सकते हो कि मुझे पॉडकास्टिंग करनी है?
नहीं मतलब यार, बहुत कम लोग,
अभी भी ऑप्शन नहीं है. लेकिन ये करियर ऑप्शन सिर्फ वो लोग ही ऑप्ट कर पाते हैं who are flexible enough till the time till age 22 or 23 or 24 कि मैं कुछ भी कर सकता हूँ, है ना? तो आई थिंक मतलब वी हैव टू बी रियली फ्लेक्सिबल till that time, and we have to gain a lot of knowledge, we have to gain a lot of exposure.
True.
And after that, that point where you feel comfortable कि यार अब मैं एक decision ले सकता हूँ, this is something which has opportunity, this is something which I am good in,
right,
and this is something which will make me enough money.
Yeah.
So that is when you should take a career decision कि यार अब मुझे ये
करना है. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. No, thank you so much for adding that. And I feel that why ultimately it is all about doing something firstly that you have to enjoy and like, otherwise it's going to be like a pain every single day.
Correct.
And because it's your work at the end of the day, right? So I think it's better that you go ahead with something where you can stay committed to it
and
for a long time.
Around you, doing the same job, who love their job, will of course take over you.
100%.
They will exceed you every
Yeah. Agreed. So I think it's been a very interesting conversation. It's been great to get to know your background and so much more about you, Prateek, as a person, your family background, your early career, how your trajectory and transition has looked like, and today what you're able to do as an entrepreneur, and obviously more about WiseLife and what you guys plan to do. I hope that you had a great time as well, because I had a lovely time conversing with you. And I mean, if there's any last note or anything that you would like to just share with the audience on an ending note, would love for you to just, share anything that you'd want to.
I think we have covered a lot of good points in our conversation. I really loved our conversation. As a last note, I'll just again repeat that be curious, be hungry, be ambitious.
Yeah.
And do not put any barriers in your head.
Right.
मतलब कोई भी बंदा कुछ भी कर सकता है आज के टाइम पे. There is like availability of so many tools. There is availability of so many mentors. There is availability of so many investors and money in the market that if you put your head
Yeah.
to something, and if you work properly to achieve some idea, to create some value,
Yeah.
it is going to reward you in the future for sure.
True. No, that's some solid advice, and I hope that everybody who is, watching this video till the very point definitely puts all of these hacks, tips, and obviously lessons and everything that you've been through to real use. We will also be linking all of Prateek's socials and WiseLife social in the description, so please do check them out. And I think it's been a wonderful episode. Please do like, share, and subscribe to the Dhairya Decodes channel. And I will see you in the next episode. Till then, keep learning, and thank you so much.